Can you imagine the level of racism that Africans face in Latvia? Adjei was a young and absolutely brilliant student in Ghana. He did so well in school and was very respected among his peers and in his family. Everybody was waiting to see what he would do next and what he would accomplish next. While in high school, Adjei was passing all his classes. He was one of the brightest students every time with a distinction. One Saturday, upon seeing the results of some of his exams, he ran home in excitement. He ran home to his parents to announce that he had passed all his classes with the highest marks possible. His parents jumped for joy and excitement, screaming and congratulating their son that he had finally finished high school with flying colors. Now it was time for university. So they spoke to him and said, look, Adjei, do you want to do university in your home country here in Ghana, or would you prefer to do it in a different country? Of course, he opted to do it outside. He said, I would like to go to Europe. Let's find a school that works for me. So his parents quickly put that to work. They started researching, looking for schools, looking in countries, everywhere in Europe to find a good suiting school for what he wanted to do. God being so good, they were able to get admission and scholarship into Riga Technical University in Latvia. So much joy and excitement and happiness was happening in the Adjei household after that announcement. Nana had never traveled before and his family was just so excited and so happy for him. Before he was set to leave, they had a lavish, huge birthday party for his 18th birthday, showered him with praise and gifts and blessings as he got ready to embark on this new journey. Everything was set and Nana took off and arrived in Latvia. Now, upon arrival in Latvia, Nana felt a little odd. I mean, white people would look at him a little weird, maybe pause and stare. And really and truly, his excitement clouded his judgment. He felt like, you know what, new place, new beginnings, new opportunities. Little did he know that his life was about to completely change. This moment, standing in the airport, noticing stares, this was a sign from God that here in Latvia, people would see him differently and treat him differently. But Nana didn't know. He couldn't know. So he braved this new world and stepped into university. Now, upon arrival at his class, he realized that the weirdness only just continued. But in school and at his classes, things were still just as weird. People would look, stare, make a commentary, but never talk to him directly. People would step out of his way as he passed. I mean, yeah, he was different, but this was a little weird. He would sit in class, discussions would be happening, he would try to engage, and the classroom would be dead silent. But you know what? It's a new country. It's a new system. Cultural divide, culture shock, all those things that everybody tells you. So Nana took it calmly, day by day, week by week, month by month, and it wasn't getting any better. He was quite close to his family, so he would occasionally call his mother and give her updates on how things were going, but they weren't going well. So Nana said, look, Ma, I'm sorry, but this isn't working out. I want us to change my university. Let me transfer schools. Let me come home, something. But I want to get the hell out of Dodge. Unfortunately, Nana's mother was hearing none of it. You are in school. You're here to learn. You have done well. You are entitled to your place and your position in this location. So you don't worry about it. Racism is everywhere, all the time. You will get used to it. You will find a way to make it work. So stay. Maybe after your first year, you've only been here 4 months. Maybe after your first year, we'll think about it with your father and come up with a different solution. And then something strange happened. One random day, as he sat in the cafeteria all alone, somebody walked up to him. A Latvian who introduced himself as Antonio, 19 years old. He said, look, I realize you've been alone and, I just wanted to come and say hi and potentially sit with you. This was the first time he'd had a one-on-one interaction and he was happy. And that was the start of a seemingly wonderful new friendship. Adjei and Antonio got to meet each other, got to get to know each other. And Antonio apologized that, we don't have a lot of Africans in our school, in our communities. We're not raised with a lot of them. So I'm sorry people are isolating you. But that wasn't all. Antonio did one step further. He introduced Adjei to more people, a group of 5 boys. And that became his team. Adjei, Antonio, and their group hung out everywhere. They got to know each other, they hung out, went to class. They really became a friend group. And in that moment, Adjei really felt that he had found at least some semblance of normal. He had friends now. He had people to hang out with, people to talk to. And maybe, just maybe, this wouldn't be the worst thing ever. As they became great friends, they began to hang out in class and outside of class. One day in class, Antonio spoke to Adjei and said, hey, we've actually been thinking we'd like to visit you in your dorm room, see where you live, see how you are, hang out, maybe get some drinks, have some fun, just hang out as boys. And Adjei was so excited, he had finally made it, and he completely agreed. That weekend, Adjei welcomed the boys over to his room. Now, one thing to note is that the only thing that had helped Adjei feel secure was that the school was known for its security. There was a security camera above his door, there were security cameras around the school, monitored closely by campus security. So of course the boys came, they hung out, they played games, they ate food, they had a great time. And then they said, hey, let's do shots, let's take drinks. And Adjei was like, you know what, I don't really do hard liquor, I'm not interested. But the boy said, oh, we're all just doing one, do it with us. Not wanting to spoil the fun, Nana said, yes, sure. He took a shot. Not even 10 minutes later, the guy said, hey, you know what, this is the end. We're gonna go back to our crib, probably pass by somewhere else and say hi to a few people, and then we'll go home. Nana said, okay, that's fine, bye. But as they left, he started to feel very odd. He started to feel a little woozy, a little dizzy, and a little faint. And in a split second, he remembered the look on the boys' faces as he was given a shot. They all had smirks, knowing looks at each other. And in that moment, Nana truly felt like he'd been poisoned. With the energy left in him, he stumbled out of his room and into the courtyard, and there he passed out. When he eventually woke up, he was in the hospital, hooked up to all sorts of machines and not understanding what was going on. Hospital informed him that he'd been gone for 6 hours. He had just woken up. They pumped him with a lot of fluids, and eventually, with a little strength, he was able to call his mother.
Hold up, wait, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now let's go back to the show.
In this moment, he tried to reach his mother and couldn't get to her. Time zone difference, his mother was at work and just wasn't able to reach her. So he sent a voice note, and in it he detailed every single thing that had happened. He detailed the story of meeting Antonio and the boys, how they became his friends, but not only that, how they came over to his room, convinced him to drink something, and how they had managed to leave. He had now found himself spending 6 hours in the hospital completely unconscious. He gave his mother complete details, listed all the accounts, and gave her a full breakdown of the names of each of the boys involved. But Nana felt like that wasn't the end, so he decided to get all the information and all the details needed. He got the receipts from his medical stay, all the information about what had happened to him, and decided to write the names of all the boys down somewhere safe, and went back to his dorm. Upon hearing her son's voice note, Adjei's mother was livid. She was angry. She demanded to find out information from the school, that the school must be reported. They must talk to the embassy. There must be an investigation upon what has happened between the boys and Adjei. Everything must be checked. And surprisingly enough, Adjei agreed. He said, Ma, I'm tired. This is not working. This needs to be sorted out. I want to leave. His mother said, you know what? We agree. Me and your father will figure this out and get you out. So they started the process. They started talking to people, finding information, looking for details, and pressing charges. They spoke to the Ghanaian embassy and so much more. 2 weeks later, they still hadn't made headway. One afternoon, Adjei's mother calls him. It rings, no response. She calls again, no response. Now that was a little odd. But she waited. Afternoon turned into evening, evening turned into the next day, and still she hadn't heard anything from her son. Now something was definitely wrong. Nana was known to be 5 centimeters away from his phone at all times. She called and called and called, and eventually someone picked. A man spoke broken English, thick accent. That was definitely not her son. He introduced himself as being a police officer from the school, and that he was unfortunately going to have to tell her that her son was no more. Nana's mother screamed in shock and said, I don't understand what you're saying. The police officer said, yes, unfortunately, it appears that he has taken his own life. He jumped from the 6th floor of his dormitory. In that moment, Nana's mother crumbled to the floor. His father ran to her saying, what is going on? Explain it to me. She handed him the phone in silence as she cried. The father too spoke to this man, and again he said, your son is gone. We are doing an investigation, but he seems to have taken his own life. Immediately, the parents started packing, started planning to head to Latvia as soon as possible. A few days later, they landed, but it wasn't as it seemed. They managed to get in contact with the Ghana embassy in Latvia and said, this is what is happening. We are not told all of the information. Help us. Somebody please help us. We need information. Again, the police report said he had taken his own life, but the embassy said, it's not as simple as that. Your son was taken to the hospital and he had several bruises upon his body. We think that somebody has beaten him. So the parents took it upon themselves that they would find out the truth for their son on their own. They spoke to classmates, they asked about his room, they visited his room, and everything looked prim and proper. Everything had been cleaned up. They said, if everything's been cleaned up, that means you've closed the case. That means you're not investigating this issue. The police said, yeah, that's kind of the end. The parents said, no, there was a security camera here. Where is it? They said, oh, the camera was damaged. We can't find any footage. They said, camera is damaged and you're not concerned. You're not worried. You're not asking questions. They said, look, clearly he threw himself off. But that wasn't enough for Adjei's family. They wanted answers. And little by little, what they discovered was even more troubling. Turns out that after having returned from the hospital that day, 5 people barged into Adjei's room, attacked him and beat him near death. As he passed out, they then took him and threw him over the balcony, 6 stories down. Now at this point, Adjei's parents had heard enough. They needed justice for their son. Clearly something strange was going on, but the police were hiding so many details, so much information. And Nana's parents said no, they must get to the bottom of this. By July 23rd, 2025, Nana Adjei's body was returned to his home country of Ghana. There, a sad funeral was held by his parents. But that was not the end. His parents decided that this whole process had been absolutely mismanaged. They decided to collect every single shred of evidence they had to their name and create a dossier, a file ready to send to the embassy in Ghana, the embassy in Latvia, and all the police service, wanting this investigation to be taken seriously. Eventually, they began sending the story out to publishers, bloggers, wanting to get the information out so that people could know and hear about what had happened to their son. Very quickly, their story trended on social media with the hashtag Justice for Nana Adjei. Over the 2 months in December of 2025, everyone was posting about it. People were imploring the Ghana foreign minister to make a case, to find out what was happening, to address the situation on a government basis, on a legal basis between nations. By the end of the year, the Ghana foreign minister put out a tweet stating that the government had heard the information and were launching a formal investigation with Latvian services. In response, the Latvian government confirmed that they had been in touch with the Ghanaian authorities. As it stands now, this investigation has been reopened. Justice for Nana Adjei, and this is our chance to lend our voices to the stories that need to be heard. Nana's family is still fighting day by day for justice for their son in Latvia. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at EntangledWebStories. And I'll catch you in our next video. Bye!